I owned a regional chain of business magazines, and actually that chain turned into a national chain. I also owned a weekly newspaper, had a national trade show company that I started, that I built up, had a radio show, and probably a half a dozen other businesses. And something that I always enjoyed doing is I always enjoyed going and talking to groups of newbies, people who wanted to become entrepreneurs. And I always enjoyed sitting down with those folks and just really kind of just sharing some of my experiences. And then invariably somebody would stand up or raise their hand and say, "Hey, Lou, I would really like to start a business, but I need a product to sell." And what I always said to them is, you don't need a product to sell. You need a problem to solve. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to explain a little bit more of what I mean by that. I'm also going to give you an example of how you can find a problem to solve. And I'm going to tell you all of that right after this break. Come on! Welcome back to Side Hustle Rules. My name is Lou Reyes, and on this channel what I do is I tell you how to start a business, whether it's a side hustle or a full-time business, and then I also help you to scale that business. And today what I want to do is I really do want to tell you what I mean when I say you don't need a product to sell, you need a problem to solve. And I'm going to go into some detail with that. But before I do, I just want to mention that in the description box of this video, I do have a free side hustle starter kit. It's something that I created. And what it does is it really just walks you through the 8 first steps, the 8 basic steps of starting a business. But these are basic, but they're steps that every single entrepreneur has had to take before they launched their business. You can get a copy of my free side hustle starter kit in the description box. In the opening of this video, what I said was that I enjoyed sitting down with newbies, people who were aspiring entrepreneurs, and I always enjoyed sitting with them and answering questions and giving some advice. But I said one thing that always came up was there was always a person, maybe more than one person actually, who would stand up or raise their hand and say, "Hey, Lou, I want to start a business, but I need a product to sell." And this came up again very recently, actually. One of my viewers, what they did is they wrote me a message. She says to me, she goes, "I was laid off in October of 2018, and I've only been able to find short-term contract jobs since that time, and was not treated very well," she says. And what she's saying is what happens to a lot of folks is that they're at a job, or they can't find the kind of job that they want, and they decide, "I'm going to start a business. I'm just going to start a business." So she says, here we are now with 2022 coming to an end. I'm 61. And I'm seeing that the only real choice is to have my own business, but not within my field. She's tired of being laid off, tired of losing jobs. And she says this, and this is the whole crux of this video. She says, "I need to have a product to sell." Well, once again, I've heard this comment many times in my career, and I always say, no, you don't need a product to sell. You need a problem to solve. And when you do find a problem, and sometimes a problem that you're going to be solving will just creep up on you, you don't see that there's a problem that you could solve for other folks. You don't see it till it just creeps up on you. And that exact same thing happened to me when I started, or before I started my business-to-business magazine chain. It was one magazine. Before I started that, I had a graphic design business. I was going out and I was working for some small businesses, doing graphic design, flyers, posters. I was doing postings. I did all the stuff that you would expect a graphic designer to do for a business person. But the thing I couldn't do for myself is I couldn't advertise because I didn't have the money to advertise. My margins were so thin I didn't have the money. So one day I just came up out of the blue. I decided, you know what, I've got to do something. So I created a little flyer. I sold some ads on it from some of my clients. And you know what happened? It transformed into a business-to-business magazine, a monthly, which turned into a chain of regional magazines, which eventually did turn into a national chain of business-to-business publications. And from that, I launched other businesses that were very, very lucrative. So what's the point? The point is this. When you solve a problem, it could be a small problem that you're doing. If you solve a small problem, you're going to make a small amount of money, usually, unless you get a large volume of clients. You find a bigger problem to solve, and you can have an opportunity to make a lot more money. And I just happened to find a problem that a lot of entrepreneurs had at that time. They just couldn't afford to advertise, but they also wanted something else, which was key. They wanted information, and I provided information about how to start a business, how to grow a business, how to finance a business, how to hire folks. So I provided all that information, and I gave them a way to market to other companies. And lo and behold, it built into a very, very profitable business, but a business that helped people. I was solving a problem. And that's the whole point of this video. Look for a problem to solve. Well, that's all I got for you today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any questions, go ahead and send me an email, or you can make a comment on this video. I'd be happy to talk with you, address any concerns that you have about a business idea that you have. So, as I always say, have a great day, everybody. Come on!